heading out to the field where the cows are, check how the new ones are getting on. Check they've kind of calmed down a bit there. Can be a bit fiery when you first put them out, when you first come back to the farm. So we'll just check they're getting on fine. Getting on fine, that's one there, one over there. They're fairly calm. They're obviously, they were all lying down when I came out, so the ones that stood up are all the new ones, so they're obviously still getting a bit used to the quad bike, but they're not fiery or anything like that. So morning Holly, 167 still due. Surely that's a calf right there. This is a new wee calf that came the other day with the new cows. A cute wee calf. Just shifting more pots around. We sold a couple last few days, so these will take up the space. This plough, need to take it off the tractor, put the trailer on, go and pick up a load of wood chips. Boiler's starting to run low, so go and get a load, fill it up. Plough off, stone grape off. So this is a stone grape, sits in the front of the tractor, and when you're in the fields and stones get lifted up by the plough or the grubber or anything like that, you can lift them up with this, take them to the end of the field or the corner of the field or back to the yard and dump them there. Edwards Engineering, they've got, you can see the new part there, that's for a bottom conveyor on the Drier, it's got a hole in it, the other one. This is a new piece.
So those legs could see some sun after all. Hurry,
let's go in.
31st of May. Search British Gas
replace
new
that
boiler.
bit in there.
Conditions apply. British Gas new heating limited is a
There's still a clump of the gravelly type stuff we were shifting the other day, so I'll need to tip it up and clear it out before we put wood chips in here. Don't want that into going through the wood chip boiler. So I'm in the trailer. This back door won't open. It'll open, but this side's fine. This side gets caught in here. Sprayed some lubricant down in there. See if I can get it open enough and then cover it all in grease, and it should be fine. It does get caught from time to time when it runs out of grease, so hopefully that'll solve the issue. What's made it worse is all this stuff I've been shifting is kind of wee grains of sand, and that's got clogged in this gap and in there, and it's just taken away any form of lubricant, and now it's kind of getting stuck in there. So if I manage to get it open, I'll just be able to clear it out, get rid of all this sand and clean it up. It should be fine. There we go. It's getting a bit busy, I'm blocked in. There's a digger on the far side and a trailer on the far side. Loads of kit over there. Don't really want to run on here. I think they'll be digging footings along this side today. New teeth on his bucket. Anyway, I'm off to get wood chips. Picking up wood chips here. Just waiting on the guy coming round. He'll take my details and I'll head round there and get a load. So that's the dry pile. He's just going with a probe. He'll get a moisture measure. That's a wet pile. That stuff's drying at the moment. Obviously some fresh lumber coming in. So these buckets, they hinge at the base there, instead of tilting the whole headstock like ours does. Just like a quick way of tipping it. Quite smart. Definitely full anyway. A lot of logs to make wood chips. And we're out here. I've got my line, got my tear weight, my gross weight. So I've got 3.38 tons of wood chip on. The back door is now working fine. So on the right side, when I lifted it, it was sticking before and it was kind of coming up unevenly, but it's working fine now. This is a sprayer line, so it tells Dunk, who drives the sprayer, what chemicals to put on what fields and what rates, etc. Dad writes that up, and Dunk usually has it, but Dunk's along the road and this is here, so just phoned him to let him know what he was needing on the winter oats. We're just having issues with water. You can see wet patch there, there's a pipe that's burst, that's bubbling up, and then there's another bubbling up bit over here as well. So we're waiting for Dad to come back, because he's got the oldest knowledge on where all the pipes are around here. So wait until he gets back to see if we know where, because we thought that wasn't live, it didn't have water in it, but obviously it does have water in it. Also, the steel plates have arrived. These are all for the bolts that go into the shed footings that hold the uprights in place. They came last week, but they were all the wrong size, and they were kind of smaller version. So these have now arrived. So Ian Rustin will take these home and get these jigged up and ready for placement in the concrete when it gets poured. Pretty big beefy plates. Last video, what was this piece on the fert spreader? It's the limiter. So when you're spreading along the end rigs of a field, when you get to hedges and waterways and whatnot, and you don't want to spread fertiliser, you put that down, and that reduces the width at which that side spreads at. I'll try and explain it in a diagram, that'll be easier. Okay, so if that's your tram lines of your field, and they're 24 metres apart, so you drive up here in your tractor, you don't spread up to 12 metres and stop, you spread kind of right out to here, but at a lower rate out here, not as heavy as it is right in here. So then when you come back down again, you then do the same on the other side. So if this is your centre line, you then spread, you've overlapped this way and you overlap that way, and when you add the two up, they match what you spread here and here. So you get the exact same rate of fertiliser spread all the way across the field. But when you get to the edge of the field, so if this is the edge of the field and this is a road and a hedge, you don't want an overlap. So that's what the limiter does. It brings that overlap in. Dad didn't really know where the pipes ran either. No one knows really, so they're going to dig the rest of the footings. If they come across the pipe there, they'll blank it off, and then that'll mean the leak isn't in where the shed is. If they don't find it, then deal with that later. Anyway, I'm heading along the road with this. I'll put the flatbed on when I get there and get a load of, what am I getting? Rapeseed pellets, that's what I'm getting. It was wet along here, Dunk's spraying just along the road again, so he's had to stop because of the rain. Hopefully it'll just be stopped for maybe an hour or so. I was going to be bringing a load of chemicals along the road for him to use, but I didn't bother because of the rain. Dad's going to bring them along in a bit once he gets going again. Got the flatbed on now. Kevin's just spreading fert there on the spring oats. Just go and see how the bruiser's getting on. That shed there, that's where all the barley is. That's getting bruised at the moment for feeding. That's the bruiser there, so you fill the hopper up there. There's two big rollers, and it just breaks the barley, splits it up so it can be digested by the cows. That's where the feeding usually is, so Kevin's out obviously, so that's why we're making up a new batch, bring it along later. Long enough to go, you can see the height of them, and it's the height and the size of the pellets that make them really awkward to travel with. Just strap them down a good few times. 4 ton of rapeseed meal ready for to be mixed with feeding. That'll be mixed, that'll make up 48 ton of feeding, which should last a good time. We're not making it all just now, just 12 ton batch at the moment. Rain's just come on there quite heavy, so I've just reversed into the trailer while I strap it up. We'll see what the rain does. Don't really want to take these bags along in the rain and get them all wet. But it's hail now, pouring down, middle of May. Dog's clearly not got too many brain cells, it's on the other side of the, it's on the wet side. Right, I'm strapped to the max. I'm not losing any of them. Just going from this yard up to that yard up there. While I wait for the rain stop, today's question of the day: what's the difference between these two bales? This one on my right and this one on my left. Just taking these bags off in this shed, sitting them in the corner. Just line these up for Kev, the rockwood. That's the pile of feed in there. So one of these bags will get mixed with that. There's already minerals, that's minerals there. They're already being mixed through it. And then I'll fill the trailer up that's in the shed behind me. So those 3 bags will just be stored in here. This bag will mix just now. So just spread them out a bit, and then we'll get the bucket, mix it all through. There's minerals there, they're just emptied bags, they're not mixed through yet, so they'll mix in as well, and then load it up, and then it'll go along the road to where Kev looks after the cattle along there, and he feeds them in the morning with this. We've been pretty good with the sprayer for a while now, not had any serious bills on it, but this valve it was knackered and it cost £1 to replace. So you can see the barley there that's been split open, so that means the cattle can then digest it. If it was a whole piece, it would just go straight through them. That's the front, just about full. A few more buckets in the back. We won't get all this in. Get this along the road now. I need to come back and get 4 buckets of barley to take home and Harborough bruise that for pig feed. This is the reason we don't use a big bogey to make up feeding for the cattle. It's really tight in here. Back along here, 4 buckets of barley, home time. Kev's just away home with the first spreader. I've just got 1 more bucket to do, and Dunk's parked up the sprayer on the other side of that wall for the night. That's everything for this video. Just going to take this tractor trailer home. So if you can like the video, subscribe to the channel, I'd appreciate it. See you in the next one. This is a new elevator they've put in, so you can see it's shiny new. The sprocket, there's a sprocket on that end that the belt runs round, and the bearing in the sprocket was gone. So, and I think there might have been a hole in the base of it. So the cost of taking that all out, them taking it to the workshop, replacing the bearings in the sprocket, fixing the hole, coming back, fitting it all, it was just basically not much different to just bang a whole new unit and fitting it. So brand new unit in there, that should last a good number of years. That's 10, 11 years old this grain dryer is, so that should last another 10, 11 years. So here's the unit they took out. So the bearing, that's the seal of the bearing, and obviously it's not meant to be there, it's meant to be still sitting in there. So the seal was gone, crop was then getting in there, knackered the whole bearing on it and was shot, and then I think there's a hole somewhere on the base of it.